Good evening, ladies and menfolk. Welcome to episode 83 of Word Ninjas Live. I am Charles, your weekly instigator of creative insanity and productivity and distractions and whatever else I feel like doing at the time. Joining me tonight are my co-hosts, Justin
Hello, hello.
and Calvin.
Hello, everyone.
All of our other co-hosts got eaten by a grue or something. We're not quite sure where they wandered off to, but hopefully they'll make an appearance when they can. But we're going to have a show regardless. And kicking things off is our talkie point for the week, which is, are there any character or story formulas that you enjoy or dislike? Why are some formulas engaging while others just make us groan? And this one only came to mind because I'm multi-reading, much to Justin's chagrin, and I'm seeing various parallels not only between the same author but different stories, but also just different authors entirely within a genre. So I thought how other people thought or picked up on this concept of formulas and themes and whatnot. And I'm going to pick on Calvin since he's the only one currently on that actually filled out notes for this. And also give
Oh,
Justin a bit of time to figure out his answer.
yeah, that's good. That's a good call. All right, so I said that I was a fan of the train wreck character, like the kind of character that just can't seem to get right no matter how hard they try, or they just kind of let life just crap all over them constantly. Life, other people, work, basically everything just doesn't do right by them.
So basically, every shonen harem protagonist.
Yes, but I think the character that kind of prompted my answer was Gianni from There Is No End to This Slope. Good lord, that is like like poor Lenzer was like a train wreck chain reaction.
That sums up the entire book. I forgot
Is
about him.
that the book with a suspension bridge on the cover?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay, something of the same book. I've not gotten a chance to read it yet.
it's a pretty good book. I suggest you check it out.
Or you can go back into the archives and check out when we interviewed the author.
I believe I was there for that.
Yeah, yes, you
Probably.
Hence why I remember the book cover.
were.
Well, to our viewers and listeners out there who haven't seen it or read it.
They should definitely check it out. That was a fun interview.
So, yeah, train wrecks are a excuse me, are a good formula that I could definitely uh, enjoy reading, and it's probably a whole lot of fun writing too. It's basically saying, how can I screw this character over today?
Well,
Like,
that's me with my trilogy.
how can I make things worse for this person? Things are already bad, but I think they could be a little worse. Like that goes beyond I'm a horrible person to my characters.
Fair point. I'm trying to think of other books that kind of go along with the train wreck character, but I'm drawing a blank at the moment. I'm sure there's at least a dozen books on my shelf right now that would fill that.
Would Willie Loman count?
I'm going to say yes, although I'm blanking on what that's from.
Oh, for the love of God! I just
What is
knew.
that from?
I was getting ready to say the name of the book, and then I forgot. Just that fast.
Because the name does sound familiar, but I can't draw the connection.
Death of a Salesman.
Okay. Which was referenced a lot in There Is No End to This Slope, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was the movie Going Down ever referenced?
I don't remember offhand.
That I'm not sure.
That's another good example of a train wreck, although sort of self-inflicted train wreck.
Although a comparatively obscure reference, video game-wise, the characters from Bulletstorm were all train wrecks. But then again, that game was a train wreck. But a very fun one to play. I enjoyed it, even though no one else in existence seems to have.
I think it had a revival where people it got around that the game itself wasn't actually bad, that the gameplay was really fun. There were a lot of stupid political things about it, like how the game companies worked it. But I think overall it eventually got positive reception, although I haven't played it yet.
I think if they ever actually patched the console version, it might have gone over better. Apparently, the console version, I think it was, had a lot of weird glitches and problems. But I played it on the PC, which is probably why I didn't have as many issues.
Yeah, I'm looking it up. Like, it got pretty favorable reviews all around.
I mean, the main character is the epitome of a fuck-up train wreck. But then you have the gameplay mechanics of basically a scoring system. The more creative you kill your enemies, the more points you get, and then you can spend them on upgrades.
Interesting. Actually, sounds like fun.
And the dialogue is about the same level as any Bruce Campbell movie in campiness, only with swearing. Lots and lots of swearing.
I'm intrigued already. I never heard of this game up until just now. So I knew absolutely nothing about it.
If you ever get a chance to check it out, even if it's just a short Let's Play or something, I recommend it.
Okay.
It's pretty entertaining. Getting back onto topic. Well, we were still on topic because it was train wrecks.
Yeah.
Do we have any other train wreck references, or shall we move on?
Can't think of any at the moment. Although mine is sort of related. I like the Descent into Madness characters. Just people that aren't sure what's going on anymore. You're not sure what's going on anymore as a reader, and it gets really rough. There's the even as far as like a Moby Dick situation. Just that type of character that is in his own little world, and there's not a whole lot on the outside that's going to affect him.
I can think of a couple of characters, but they're mostly from television shows, not from books.
Since the only books I've ever read up until a month ago are Stephen King, there's plenty of references there. I'm thinking of the one that I just read recently, but now I can't remember the title. It's one of the newer ones. That's in one of the collections of 4 shorter stories, and I can't recall the name. But yes, he has a lot of Descent into Madness characters.
The main one that comes to mind for me would be John Crichton from the series Farscape. But that's mainly because he actually gets a mind probe shoved into his head, so then he has his main enemy in his head causing delirious episodes. And all sorts of other space shenanigans.
That sounds exciting.
And probably about 50% of any of the horror games that Markiplier plays. All of those characters descend into madness.
Like the character in Neverending Nightmares.
I don't even know what that's about yet still. I need to finish that game.
I watched your first 2 videos of those. Good grief! I I have no idea how to make heads or tails of that game.
The main character definitely is not quite right in the head, but it kind of bothers me more that the first episode scared me a lot more than the second episode, and the second episode was in a psych ward. That should be more terrifying than a weird house.
Mm.
CJ, I think your question was which ones you like and don't like, right?
Yes.
So, one comparison that I was thinking of just now was this character is really strong and powerful in spite of all the things going on. I would probably throw out Hunger Games as a reference there, among others. But so I don't like that. But what I do like is characters that are strong-willed and powerful in spite of themselves. You see this a lot in the Lord of the Rings trilogy and The Hobbit. I'm trying to think of other convenient examples.
More the novelization version than
Yes,
perhaps
yes.
the cinematic universe.
Right. I'm just
So
trying to
kind of
make a
like
distinction between, oh, I'm a super strong, confident character, and oh, all these bad things are happening, but I'm still going through with it. More of a
kind of like
okay. I like a character that is strong and competent, but not confident. You know,
Okay.
think about a Frodo situation where, yeah, you could say he's strong-willed, and then there's the argument about, Samwise was really the hero of the novel. But that argument aside, either character, they faced a whole lot, and they weren't confident pretty much the whole time that they were going to be able to go through with it.
Hmm.
I mean, they had people helping them along the way. If they had gone out on their own, they would have been totally screwed. But in spite of themselves, they were, strong characters and were able to fight, forces that were, quite frankly, above them. It's a subtle difference, but I think it's an important difference. And maybe I just don't like the former because I relate more to the other characters. So not to say that the other type of character who's already confident and strong-willed is terrible writing, but it's a personal preference thing, probably because I relate to the second scenario more.
Yeah, a lot of the examples that come to mind fall into they already have power, so they're confident because of that, and they still do crazy things.
So you would say you're more fan of the like pseudo everyman situation?
Yeah, I mean, the everyman being thrust into a weird situation is a little bit effed out at this point, too. But I think that's how stories work. I don't think you can really get around that. Otherwise, it's an extremely boring narrative. But, yeah, sort of like I'm trying to think of other relevant examples. I should put more time into this question.
Well, if it's the everyman scenario, I would toss out the Mystery Men movie. Because they really were everyman people, but they still managed to defeat the evil. Never mind that they killed the main superhero by accident.
I need to go watch that.
I love that movie, and I don't care what anyone else says. I enjoyed that one.
Like that, excuse me, that was been something on my to watch list, but that happened to be the list that I happened to lose several times. So I never managed to watch it.
I actually have the comic book adaptation of it, I think in my closet with all my other graphic novels.
Oh, really?
It's pretty amusing.
I have to check that out.
I would say probably one thing I was thinking of is Apollo 13. The the difference between the um, Tom Hanks character and the Kevin Bacon character. Uh, are you guys familiar with Apollo 13? Have you seen it recently?
Not recently. That's the problem. I know I've seen it, but
Yeah.
So I would say that the Tom Hanks character who's playing Swigert, he's already fairly confident, and he kind of keeps the group together. Uh, and he doesn't really panic a whole lot. He kind of keeps his cool through the whole thing. And so that's kind of like my former character, the one that I don't care for. But the Jim Lovell character, oh wait, I had these backwards. Sorry. Uh, Tom Hanks obviously plays Jim Lovell, not Jack Swigert, which is played by Kevin Bacon. Um, so the Kevin Bacon character, he's kind of, out of it during this whole situation. He's extremely upset about things that are going on. He's passing blame on to other people. It's probably a little more Hollywoodized than what actually happened up there. And he's sort of like a wild card during the whole thing. But in spite of his massive overarching character flaws, he still ends up, taking a step aside and saying, okay, look, these are things that need to get done. I'm going to shut the F up for a while and actually try to save this damn ship. So he actually, gets it together towards the middle and end of the film and, pulls stuff off in spite of himself, not as much in spite of what happened on the Apollo 13 spacecraft.
hmm. I wouldn't mind seeing that again, just because it's been so long.
I own it, and I usually watch it once every year or so.
Ah, it's one of those movies then.
Yeah, it's in my top 10 for sure.
Nice.
We should do a top 10 movies at some point.
That would be tricky. Just to list.
It's just top 5 then. 10 might be a little much for a 1.5 hour podcast.
Hmm. As for my own preferences to story formulas, just like with everyone else, I seem to kind of gone with the characters, not actual plots. But I'm still a fan of the whole awkward kid who turns out to be the one, or royalty, or just uber powerful for whatever reason, because plot. I mean, the first one that always came to mind was the Belgorod and Malorian quintologies from David Eddings, which is still my favorite because childhood. The main character is a scullion boy who turns out to be not only the king of the entire continent, pretty much, but also the one who will save the entire universe. Which is a little bit overkill, really, nowadays, because it's kind of been done to death, but I still find it entertaining. And basically, every single series that is done under the Rock publishing imprint, because it's really all the same, just slightly different. You have a female protagonist who has magic, or is a shapeshifter, or some other crazy ability that makes them special, and then they just wreak havoc upon all evil people everywhere around them. Not always successfully. They usually make mistakes or get hurt somewhere along the way, but it's still very entertaining to see happen.
Would you put Scott Pilgrim on that list?
Hesitantly, because I've only seen the movie version. I haven't actually read the...
Let's say the movie version, because that's the only exposure I've had.
I don't know. He's not really the one or anything, and he's not a female.
I mean, that's. I was going more with the one situation.
I mean, in his own little world and story, he is kind of the one, since he
Right.
pulls everything off. So in that respect, yes, but I never really thought of it in that light. Hmm.
I mean, there's, that might not be the perfect example for your thing, just kind
Yeah.
of something else to think about variety wise. Uh, you're probably thinking more of Neo Matrix situation.
To a degree, I have thoughts on that overall series, but yeah,
Series? I don't.
uh, trilogy, whatever they call it,
Mm, I'm
however
pretty
many
sure there's
movies
only
there
one
were.
movie.
I heard there were
One,
others, but I don't
No,
know.
one,
I don't know.
one,
Actually, all things
one,
considered, I
one.
like the whole trilogy.
I can't really weigh in on that one because I've only seen just the first one.
You should see the second one as a popcorn movie and not follow any of the plot because there's a lot of good set pieces and a lot of good action sequences that are incredibly dumb but awesome in their own right.
Oh yeah, the special effects are most entertaining in the second one. The
Mm.
third one is a little silly.
Third one fell flat.
The third one
Fell
was
sideways.
actually horrendously bad.
Ooh.
I
Mm.
mean, if you put them all together, the third part really kind of falls apart because of how good the first two were. It doesn't feel like it tied it together as the way viewers probably wanted it to. Although, as the one, the ending was kind of telegraphed.
Ah. So it's kind of predictable, self-fulfilling prophecy, pretty much.
Yeah.
By the end of 2, you already knew every plot point on 3.
Oh.
Because they
Yeah.
literally said, hey, here's all the things that you're going to do. And then in the third movie, he proceeds to do all of those things as if he was reading a checklist.
Yeah.
Oh.
One thing I wouldn't. One thing I would like to do someday, if I ever get time, is
Right.
rewatch that trilogy, but also add in the Animatrix, which was the animated version of stuff that happened in the Matrix.
So you should come over to my house then, because I have all of them. And interestingly enough, the DVD pack that I got has 2 sets of audio commentary. One are people who are really into the movie, like philosophers and stuff, and they're like talking about mind, body, and spirit.
Hmm.
And there's another set of audio commentary where the people hate the movie and destroy all 3 of them. And I haven't heard them yet, and that sounds like really fun. So if you ever want to come over and just watch everything related to the Matrix in a day, then let
So
me
they
know.
basically go MST3K on it.
Oh yeah, I haven't heard it yet, so I can't confirm if it's funny or not. I think it might just be them going ugh the whole time.
That would be fun. One other series that I just want to toss into this whole talk about themes and formulas and whatnot, although I don't really know what formula it falls under, which is a bit of a problem. The graphic novel series Oh, God damn it. What is it? It is. Open the door. Transmetropolitan. Transmetropolitan is an incredible story and fantastic artwork, really fun characters, but damned if I know what it would really fall under.
Hmm. What's the what's it all about? If you could sum it up.
Uh, it's effectively based in the far-flung future, tech-wise, but you have basically the last proper journalist who is actually willing to do research and pull out facts and do stuff like that has to actually go back into the city because he had a book deal. He was just a hermit beforehand, but he gets back into it and takes on politics and does really interesting societal commentary of the times and stuff like that, with an incredible amount of swearing and all sorts of crazy stuff.
Hmm.
That's one of those series that I read probably every 2 years or so, just because it's so good.
How many books have been released in that
The whole
series?
series has been done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 or 10. I think 9. But I have the whole
Hmm.
series if you ever want to borrow it.
Okay. Cool.
Did anyone notice that when Calvin joined the conversation, he stole my lower third away, and now I don't have one?
So that's why you never
Sorry.
have one.
Thanks, Calvin. No, that's all right. I didn't want to pin my website anyways. Thanks, Google.
I feel like Transmetropolitan and The Sandman would probably fit in the same style of genre formula, in that it's just really interesting to read and see how it progresses throughout the whole storyline. There's not really many other stories or books out there that I'm aware of that would fit alongside them or that could parallel those for comparison. But The Sandman is another fantastic graphic novel series that I don't really read that often, but was
Is it
most entertaining.
is it over? Like if I
The original run is over and done with, but
okay.
I'm pretty sure it was the author has kind of started a new follow-up series to it, but I know nothing about it. I just know that it's a thing that was going to happen at some point. It may have even started by now, for all I know. But the main overall series has been done, and
Oh,
I have
speaking
a
of
few.
which, speaking of uh, graphic novels, the Watchmen all fit into my category of characters that I like, that I was talking about before.
Even including the funky short story that was in parallel to the main Watchmen story in the graphic novel.
Well, remember that I like the people that are slowly descending into madness, so that
True.
it's basically the best thing I've ever read. It has all my favorite character archetypes.
And it was really well done how in the graphic novel it all weaved together, so it all worked. Even though in the cinematic version that would have been very hard to do.
Just I like the idea of like the bumbling characters that have massive faults but still manage to do good in the end. And I think that's basically that whole cast.
Pretty much. And to our viewers and listeners out there, if you haven't added your responses to this talkie point yet, by all means do so. Continue the conversation. I think we already had a comment. Let's see if we can pull it up quickly before migrating on. Daryl Green says, considering the characters I've written, I do like characters who are confident but not all the way. Most of the canon characters and my OCs are skilled but don't feel it. Others would risk their lives for them, but they don't feel they've gotten stronger even though they've won some big event. Which I feel kind of parallels with Justin's concepts.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Since our other co-hosts have not been able to join us yet, I'm just going to move us along. I guess we'll have a comparatively short episode. All right, moving on to the highlights reel. I got a couple quick hit stuff for people, and then a few other things. So hop on to screen share. First things up, I believe it was last week. The infamous author Terry Pratchett unfortunately passed away, but it
Mm.
looks like he was able to finish a book early in 2014 or so. So we are going to get one more book out of him, and it is called The Shepherd's Crown, which follows the character Tiffany Aching, which makes me happy because I love that part of Discworld. Tiffany Aching is a very fun character, especially if any of the Knack Mac Feagles are going to be part of it, which hopefully they will be. And it looks like it's going to be published next fall, so I guess late 2016. So we still have a little ways to go, but at least it'll be something to look forward to. And kind of going in line with that, the BBC has said that they're going to re-show the short series Good Omens on Easter Monday. Good Omens is a fantastic book from Terry
Next on my
Pratchett
list of
and
books
Neil
to read.
Gaiman. And there was actually a mini series done based off of it.
Oh,
So I'm looking forward to that.
I better hurry up and read that book.
One thing that I did not notice until just now is it was tweeted via the BBC radio station, and one of the various responses showed that you can listen to it regardless of where you are, so it's not just going to be UK based. And they sent the link. It's also in the show notes for people who are interested. So it might just actually be the radio rendition. It may not actually be a televised event.
Hmm.
Okay, they do that a lot, so that wouldn't
Yeah.
surprise me.
And even the radio and audio play stuff is very well done by the BBC, so I'm not too worried about that. I just thought because they've done a half dozen of Terry Pratchett's books as actual movies, it would be very interesting to see their take on Good Omens, even if it's not in Discworld. But yeah, I'll probably, if I remember, on Easter Monday, I'm probably going to try and track that down because that is a fun book. It'll be interesting to listen to or see, however it breaks down. Next up, uh, oddly enough, over on Fast Company, which I usually read more for work than anything else, but they had an interesting article on how it took 100 versions to design a book cover for this particular novel. And they have a little GIF of various possible book cover ideas for it, just to show how many different styles they did and all that. And it really goes into detail of just how much work goes into a book cover. It's not just one and done. It takes a lot of different styles and, well, how about this? Or what if we want to focus on that concept instead and stuff like that? Because, yeah, the saying goes, don't judge a book by its cover, but the first thing you see about a book is generally the cover. Either if you're looking for it online or in a bookstore, that's your first impression of the book. I mean, the back cover and the inside blurb helps a lot to help you get an idea of if you want to get the book, but if the cover isn't that interesting, it becomes an immediately harder sell. Unless you're people like me who just buy books regardless.
And I'm not even going to address that.
Yeah, they also have a YouTube video as well, if you're curious to see just what their process was for 100 versions for a book cover. It was pretty interesting to see. And similarly, in cover art, an article went up today for Batgirl number 41. Apparently, it is Joker month for all the variant covers for various DC books, and this one became a tad controversial. For our viewers, it is this one, which hopefully it shows up. but it's basically an homage to the storyline The Killing Joke, where Batgirl was paralyzed before the various universe reboots, where, oh, hey, she's not anymore. And a lot of people got upset about that and didn't feel it was necessarily in line with the actual issue because the current Batgirl series is more lighthearted and fun and comical, not as serious as The Killing Joke was. So there was all sorts of kerfluffle about that to the point where even the artist for the variant cover requested that DC not put that one out. And I think DC actually complied because,
Yeah, they did.
yeah, which was good on their part to actually listen to the artists and the fans of the series. So good on them. Although, to be fair, that is really nicely done artwork. And it really does come across as part of The Killing Joke, as an homage. But for the current storyline, doesn't really fit. Although there have been plenty of comic book fans who have gone on to say that a lot of the variant cover arts aren't really in line with the stories that they're a part of because the variants are just a theme of the month or something like that. So
Right. It's more like showing off an artist's work.
yeah. So it doesn't have to be in line with whatever issue it's a part of, or it has to be in line with whatever series it's being part of. Yes, but this one, there's multiple sides to the story, but it seems to have ended amicably, which is nice. It's nice to actually see things end amicably in the comic book industry, because that's pretty rare nowadays. Next up is a very odd movie that I kind of want to see just because I'm sure it's going to be so hilariously bad. But apparently, Pixels is a movie that is happening starring Adam Sandler, which can probably already immediately give you an idea of the style and quality levels. But it's basically, what does it equate to? It's basically like the Futurama episode where the aliens come down and use the 8-bit style invasion, and Fry has to fight them off. Only this is just as pixelated, but in 3D. And they toss in Donkey Kong, Pac-Man, Frogger. They've also listed Asteroids Breakout, Centipede Missile Command, Galaga, Dig Dug, Qbert, Space Invaders, Joust, Defender, Robotron, and Wizard of War. Just because they've managed to get so many IPs involved in this, I kind of want to see just how they pull that off and how many nods to all of these arcade games they can actually fit in. I don't expect to be impressed. I just hope to be occasionally amused. And they actually do have a trailer up, which it's about what you would expect, I feel like, for something that like this, but yeah, this is going to be interesting. I don't expect many people to go see it or enjoy it, but it does come out on May 15th, if you're interested. And now, unfortunately, this article doesn't have a link to the trailer. But it was also inspired by a short film, which apparently that's really all you need, as most commenters seem to have said. So go to the show notes, check it out for yourself. And our last news piece is more just interesting and educational, but it goes to explain why old paper turns yellow. And it was an interesting read. It really boils down to the fact that we primarily use wood pulp based paper, and it's all about two of the main chemicals that are in the wood-based paper, and depending on the quality, it can take longer for the oxidation to occur. I think lignin is the main one.
Cellulose and lignin are the two main chemicals.
Science.
Cellulose is the structure, and lignin is basically the glue that holds, like, not just holds the paper together. Like, lignin is basically the reason why trees are able to grow higher than 6 feet.
That was an interesting fact that in there.
Yeah. Like, this was a great read. I recommend this to all our viewers and listeners, because science and paper and books, all things that we all like.
I feel like this is an article that needs to be read in the voice of Bill Nye the Science Guy, because it's too serious for Beekman's world. Yeah, those are all your news highlights for this week. All the links are in our show notes over at fcwriters.com for episode 83. Go check it out. Next up are more books, because more book bundles are out. Story Bundle just released their latest one today. This one is on time travel. And surprisingly, there is not a single DeLorean or phone booth or little blue box amongst them. But you got 13 books, and if you pay $14, you get all 13 books. If you pay less, then you get 6. So comparatively cost-effective for ebooks. You have The Rock by Bob Mayer, Time Streams by Fiction River, which is a collection of short stories. You have Parallelogram Book 1, Into the Parallel by Robin Brand, which is just a fun title all around. You have Time's Mistress by Stephen Seville. You have Alternatech by Kevin J. Anderson, which I really want because it looks like a really interesting book, but Justin won't let me, I'm sure. You have Lightspeed, issue 28 by Lightspeed, which is just a magazine series with a couple short stories in it. You have The Trinity Paradox by Kevin J. Anderson and Doug Beeson. You have The Edwards Mansion by Dean Wesley Smith. Time Traveled Tales, which is a collection of short stories. Snipers by Christine Catherine Ruche. You have Ansible by Stant Latore, which is a fantastic book, and I've heard a lot of other book podcasts talk about that one, and I looked at the summary for that one. It is highly recommended, even though I haven't read it yet. There's also Summer of Love by Lisa Mason, which looks most entertaining from the summary it gives. And then also Lightspeed issue 57. All of that for $14. So if you're a fan of time travel books and time travel short stories, this is the bundle for you. And it just went up, so you have a whole 22 days and change as of this recording to go check it out. And then Humble Bundle just posted their latest book bundle as well today. Theirs is on post-apocalyptic stories, which I feel like Story Bundle did recently. So if you haven't gotten your fill yet, then go to Humble Bundle for their book bundle, which has A Gift Upon the Shore by M.K. Wren, Wasteland Volume 1, Cities in Dust, which covers issues 1 through 6, After the End, Recent Apocalypses by Paula Garan. That's actually one that I wrote down that looks interesting, along with A Gift Upon a Shore. Let's see, Gather Darkness by Fritz Leiber, Lightspeed magazine from July 2010, which features George R.R. Martin with one of his short stories. Lightspeed magazine March from 2013 with other short stories. A little It doesn't really fit here, I feel like, but you get a game amidst your book bundle, Defiance, which is for Windows platform. You have Wool, the Omnibus Edition, which looks really good, by Hugh Howey. You have The End Is Nigh, also by Hugh Howey, and then John Joseph Adams. That's another one that this one had an interesting last paragraph, or so my notes say. Post-apocalyptic fiction is about worlds that have already burned. Apocalyptic fiction is about worlds that are burning. The end is nigh is about the match. That's basically what sold me on this particular book, because it's kind of in between, a little bit after the apocalypse, a little bit before post-apocalypse. Kind of a unique point in it. You also have Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler, and The Strain, Volume 1, which covers issues 1 through 6, which is a fantastic storyline if you haven't read it yet. You also get Future Land by Walter Mosley, which looks fantastic. You have After the Fall, Before the Fall, During the Fall by Nancy Kress. You have The Massive, Volume 1, Black Pacific, which covers issues 1 through 6. Daybreak by Brian Ralph. The Wild Shore by Kim Stanley Robinson. Damnation Alley by Roger Zelazny, and they even promise to add more books before this one runs out. So for this one, you could get currently 17 books for $15. And theoretically, they're going to add even more books to that list. So that one is definitely pretty cost effective if you're in the need for more ebooks and you're a fan of post-apocalyptia. So go check it out. Those are all your news highlights for this week. And the links for all of them, again, in the show notes, if you want to check any of it out. All right. Moving on to the productivity and inspiration station segment thing, whatnot. I have been playing with animation, and it has been entertaining me. And while I do technically have Poser 10 and Anime Studio 10 or whatever it is, Anime Studio Pro maybe, I'm still in like the C-spot run stage of editing abilities and trying to figure out how those things work. So it's mostly just been tossing images into Camtasia and overlaying audio, which seems to have at least been entertaining my crew, if nothing else. And I am now currently outlining 6 articles for work, because content still needs to be created, but everyone else is overloaded with client work and billable work, so someone's got to do it. And I'm once again trying to get back into the whole holistic health efforts stuff, because I've been bad about that this year already. But 3 days in of a concentrated effort to get back into it. So hopefully I can keep up that trend for a little while. Otherwise, my body may rebel against me again. And yeah, that's all of my productivity. How did Justin fare this week?
All of your productivity, you say?
Yeah, that's everything in the notes.
Now, see, I read the notes earlier.
Did you
I
not?
couldn't help but notice another thing. Care to address it in any way?
So I got mail. Apparently, one of the various, I think it was an Indiegogo campaign for various series and stuff, finally got shipped. So I now have Apollo's Daughters, which is a various collection of short stories. All with female protagonists, I believe. And currently you are still highlighted, so let's fix that just so people can quickly see the book. If I can tilt it so people can see the book. There we go.
Cool.
But technically I did not go to a store to buy it or anything, so it doesn't count. And even though I did...
Yeah, it doesn't count, because you purchased it before their hand.
Yeah. And I even went to a Barnes& and Noble's last weekend, and I did not purchase a single book. Not even a journal.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Although I was tempted. So yes, how did you fare with productivity and whatnot?
I actually did pretty good. I cleaned the entire apartment over the weekend, including the floors. Yes, I washed the floors. And I put away a bunch of stuff that no one uses and relocated everything for efficiency. So that's a good thing. I did no live streaming over the weekend, as I had alluded to and promised, because I'm waiting for my new camera. The camera that I bought was out of stock the day that I bought it on Amazon, so it did not come for 2-day shipping, so I have to wait another week for it to come. I should be able to do some other live streaming where I don't require my face, and that I will probably try to do this weekend, even if my camera does not come. Let's see, City Skylines is still inspiring the crap out of me, and I've been playing that a lot. And actually, I've been inspired all over the place. I had an idea about a board game called No Parking, and I have no idea how the gameplay works, but I know that the challenge is you get cards with cars in them with various lengths, and there's various parking spaces on the board, and you have to try to block in other characters from being able to take up spots that are worth more points. Again, I just thought of this like yesterday, so I don't have any of this worked out, but it sounded kind of cool. And also remembered that I had a book based on a podcaster who podcasts with the guests of homeless people, and then if the homeless person has a non-righteous reason for being homeless, and he murders them.
Well then.
So, yeah, I had that story idea that I had totally forgotten about.
Cool.
And I planned a trip to Cape Cod for not this coming weekend, but the following weekend. A romantic getaway. And we're going to rent recumbent bikes and go ride our bikes all along the Cape.
Nice.
So it's going to be fun. Oh, and get this. There's a breakfast place. And so you know Eggs Benedict, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got, for the listeners that don't know, it's English muffins with some poached eggs and delicious hollandaise sauce. Now, I'm not really a fan of Eggs Benedict because I don't like wet bread and I don't like liquid yolk.
Heathen.
But I make an exception. However, take out the English muffins and replace them with crab cakes. Now we're talking.
Even though I am very allergic to crab cakes, that sounds absolutely amazing.
It is going to be amazing. And I'll be taking lots of pictures on the trip, so expect my website to be filled with fun photos and me playing shenanigans on the wife.
Are you going to be on the bay side or the ocean side?
We're on the tip, actually. So we're on both, whichever side we want to be on.
P-Town's fun, or at least that area.
We're staying in Orleans.
Oh.
And we're going to bike up north, and then on the way back home, we're going to go to the canal and take a walk on the canal street.
Cool. Orleans is a very nice area. You'll have fun.
And it's still spring, so the hotel prices are way down, and no one's going to be there because Cape Cod is a clusterfuck in the summer. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, we know all too well.
I don't. I've never.
Don't ever go in the summer.
After Memorial Day, all bets are off.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm trying to schedule a weekend before Memorial Day.
You know what would be funny is if you chose next weekend.
No, it's going to be like 2 weekends before Memorial Day because that's when I can get a
day off.
No, that's when I can go up because I know people who have a hotel, and that's when they open.
The hotel isn't. Oh, if it opens, then it's not the one I'm going to, obviously.
Yeah, and they're in like South Yarmouth.
I don't know what that means.
Uh, South Yarmouth is the southern ocean side, so it's 30 to 40 minutes, depending on traffic, away from Orleans.
Yeah, on the southeast side.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm debating bringing the typewriter.
Well, since you're driving up, it's easy enough to transport.
Yeah, but it's a motel technically where I'm staying. Although I do have a suite, and the hotel's going to largely be empty because when I
Hmm.
called, I'm like, "What rooms do you have available?" She's like, "All the rooms." You could rent two adjacent rooms if you wanted.
Yeah, that should be fun.
Yeah.
And how did Calvin fare this last week?
Let's see. I got some stuff done. I got out of the house yesterday.
What?
I decided to check out this creator showcase that was going on in Manhattan. It's a apparently it's a weekly networking event. I had no idea about it. It's an event that showcases entrepreneurs that took their creative passions and either turned them into businesses, um, like found a way to make a living out of them, or figured out ways to like achieve those creative goals while working either full time or freelance, or um, basically working out various ways to like sustain themselves along with those side projects.
I don't see how any of this relates to us or what we're doing or what this podcast represents.
Not at all.
No,
It sounds like a giant waste of time.
I thought it was at first, but it actually turned out to be pretty nice. Like a lot of there were four presenters. One was a dancer that started off like doing choreography with his friends and his family growing up, and a turned it into a dance troupe and a studio,
Cool.
and is touring across the country, and is currently working on um, producing a show for I forget which music festival it is. I want to say Coachella, but is one of those shows. But he's basically putting together, like, he's got a stage to him, like his troupe has a stage to themselves
That's cool.
to to uh, work on routines for that festival, and that's just outrageous. Let's see, you had the dancer, a you have a creative team that does a lot of like freelance like photography and creative work for fashion companies, um, fashion companies, media outlets, and things like that. Like, and it was started by a group of guys that graduated college 3 years ago, and I hate them. They have their own studio in the Brooklyn Navy Yard, which is
Damn.
awesome.
How do we
Yeah.
get those types of connections?
It kind of helped that one of them worked for Nylon, which is a fashion magazine, and the other worked for MTV.
Well, then,
Mm.
that does help.
Yeah, just a bit, just a bit. And the other two presenters were documentarians. One did a recurring documentary series about um, like different people all across the country, like outside of like major cities, that took their passions and made like took their passions and their dreams and like made successful businesses out of them, and just learning about their stories. And the
Cool.
other documentarian, he and his partner got together and created a side project, doing 1 day interviews of designers and creatives, um, all across the country. They record everything in 1 day, like from like morning to night, to try to get like a really good day in the life feel from these designers and these creative people. And like very interesting stuff. Like I was actually very impressed with all of them. Like really cool. So I may end up going to more of these just to try to gain some more inspiration and just to get out the house some more.
Are those usually on Tuesdays?
I I think they're usually on Wednesdays, but it just happened to be on Tuesday today. I have to go back and find out.
Because if it's
Um,
at a convenient time on Tuesdays, maybe I'll try and make one every once in a while, depending on where it is.
not far from your New York office. Like
Nice.
not far at all. So that was one thing that was one inspiring thing I did this week, and I definitely needed it because like I haven't really been going out much or really at all lately. Just been sitting in the house, either working or vegetating.
Or watching all of our game break videos.
Oh yeah, that too. So going out and interacting with people and hearing inspiring stories, something I definitely needed. Even though I was really, really, really severely pissed off that there was so much free beer like all around this entire uh, open open creative space, and I couldn't drink any of it. I couldn't even drink the free punch.
Goodness. The punch I can understand, but why no beer?
The medication I'm taking.
Ah,
I mean, like technically I probably could. Like my nutritionist says like I could have like I can enjoy beer. I enjoy beer and drinks moderately, but my doctor says I shouldn't drink at all. So I just don't know what to do really.
well, to be fair, on a day like St. Patrick's Day, it's probably safer to not drink.
Yeah, all the people I encountered after I left that networking event, especially seeing as how there were like 5 pubs between where the event was and Penn Station.
Oh, goodness.
Well then.
That's why
Yeah,
I'm glad I did not have to go to New York yesterday.
you didn't miss anything important.
Oh, I know exactly what I missed because I've done that trip for 5 years. On
Uh,
St. Patrick's Day, for Christmas, when it's almost New Year's, Cinco de Mayo.
Drinko de Mayo.
I do not miss those days. And it's not even New York in general, it's just Metro North at night.
Oh, ooh. Yeah, say no more. But digressions aside, yep, got out the house. It was nice. Got to talk to some people. Got to be inspired. I enjoyed that a lot. The other things I've been working on, or attempting to anyway. I have been doing some research for what will eventually become the Inspire the Muse style guide.
Yay.
Yay. I'm
Are you
excited about it.
utilizing the style guide section that I put up on Asana by any chance?
Um, I did not actually. I did not
That
realize
would be
that
a
was
no go.
there. I will definitely make use of that. I see it right now. Style guide, social media
To be
guide.
fair, it's completely blank. It was just stuff that I thought we need to work on and pre-populated some of the categories.
I'm actually glad you brought that to my attention. I will take advantage of that.
Yeah, those sections are useful, even if they're empty, just as a reminder of, yeah, we need to address those at some point.
You mean like the
Hmm.
business plan?
One of these days. Maybe.
Let's see. What else did I do? I attempted some really epic room cleaning.
You too, huh?
Yeah, I did away with like a sizable garbage can's worth of uh unread mail, credit card offers, and just random stuff that I didn't need anymore. And I'm glad to have gotten rid of it. And also, I raided some of my clothing drawers because there were a lot of things that I haven't been able to find for a while, mainly because I couldn't fit into them. But now I found them, and since I've been losing weight from not going anywhere for the last 9 weeks, I've been able to. I can fit into a lot of things again, and that's a really nice feeling. Let's see. Uh, on kind of a bummer note, I have hit a musical roadblock, and it sucks.
Boo.
I'm going to attempt to eviscerate this block. I think what helped was the random idea that popped in my head this morning at the most inopportune time because I was trying to make breakfast. But I think I was able to get enough of the idea down so I can try to revisit it and hopefully remember what I was trying to do. Isn't that the best?
Mm.
I've been really inspired recently to bang on drums, but I don't have any drums. So that's my life currently.
Hey, you have pots and pans. Those can work in a cinch.
Not with a downstairs neighbor, it doesn't. Maybe it's better I don't have a drum.
Put a towel inside the side of your pot. That'll muffle the sound.
I will keep that in mind.
Hey, you got to do your best to improvise.
We're good at that.
And last on my list, I'm sure you guys are wondering what the hell this means. I just wrote bucket in all caps.
I know what bucket is.
I know a bucket, but I'm not sure if it's the same bucket as this bucket.
So, me
I
and Will have
assume
been
this has to
talking.
do with the Minecraft server.
Yes, me and Will have been chatting it up about Minecraft a lot lately, and I've been wanting to do some research about a server called Craft Bucket, just to try to see if it was worth messing around with and switching our server over to that platform.
I believe I've used it in the past. I can vouch for it. I don't know how much they've updated in the past several whatevers.
They're up to date with the latest version of Minecraft, which is pretty great. it took a bit of effort to get it onto my computer because apparently Bucket got hit with a Digital Millennium Copyright Act takedown.
What?
What?
Why?
It's
How?
some really weird convoluted reason. But it looks like they're trying to fight it. But in the meantime, there is another server called Spigot, which still has all the development files. So I had to do like a really weird workaround using GitHub and the Java development kit
Jeez.
GitHub I
to
can see, but man, Java development kit, you went deep.
I went really deep into this one, so I had to get all the files from GitHub and compile it in the JDK. But I got it to work. I got all the files compiled, and I got the server up and running.
Nice.
Will was able to vouch for it. Was able to jump on the server, and since we both were able to verify that everything looked to be working very stably, he gave me the full coverage miner world files. So now the full coverage miner server is running on my computer.
Oh my.
Oh, we got some fun things in store for Minecraft. I'm excited.
We'll have to talk offline about our new capabilities.
Yep, no problem. But yeah, Bucket.
Yay.
I'll tell you all about the fun things I was able to put on the Bucket server after the show.
Sounds awesome.
Nice. All right, with that, on to events. The next one up is still Book Expo at the end of May. And for some reason, it only finally clicked in my head this week as to why Book Expo shifted their dates. Book Expo is now Wednesday to Friday. BookCon is Saturday and Sunday in the same location.
Oh.
That's how they're breaking it up. Now, see,
Okay.
last year, BookCon overlapped with Book Expo on Sunday, I want to say it was. It was either Saturday or Sunday, but I want to say Sunday.
I think it was Sunday, yeah.
And it was chaos incarnate for book readers. I mean, a lot of fun, don't get me wrong, and they handled it very well considering the amount of people, but I think that may have been why they split the two, although it complicates scheduling considerably.
Just a bit.
Yeah. But for those not fully familiar, Book Expo is basically Comic-Con, but for publishers and authors. And it's in the Javits Center in Manhattan, so same place as New York Comic-Con. BookCon is a smaller version of Book Expo, which is for the public and priced accordingly, thankfully. So it's nice to actually see that BookCon gets 2 days rather than one. I'm just personally upset that they've shifted Book Expo to weekdays just because of scheduling.
It's an extreme inconvenience. Ugh.
We'll figure something out and make it work.
'Cause I definitely do want to go.
We just got to figure out which day people can come and then beat their system into submission so we can actually get the badges. It's doable, it's just frustrating.
Gotcha.
But if you're looking for the full crew, the next time we're all going to be gathered is still Kineticon in July, with our vendor table. I'm going to officially declare that we are not doing panels, mainly because we haven't submitted any yet, but it's not happening. We're going to have our vendor table, and we are getting press badges one way or the other so that we can get to the press junkets and get you all of those exclusives and maybe even get an interview with some of the guests if we're lucky, because they have a really nice guest list building up. So we're looking forward to that.
Oh, yeah.
And let's see, Inconceivable, we're all going to be there. Hartford Comic Con, we're all going to be there. Again, coordinating press possibilities. And then it would be nice if someone or some combination of us can make it to New York Comic Con, but it didn't happen last year. No guarantees as to this year. We'll see.
My wallet.
Yeah. We can only do so many conventions, even though that one would be a lot of fun. Thankfully, that's not until October, so we have time. But yeah,
Imagine if we could get press for that. Ooh.
That would be ridiculous. We need to get our press credentials cleaned up for that. But yeah.
Sorry. Oh boy.
If you want to check out where we'll be or who will be where, the events section has been updated as of this week with all the latest stuff, so check it out. And with that, that's a show. We're done. We're all out of talky stuff. Which means time to wrap up. As always, if we entertained you in any way, shape, or form, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, where you can watch, comment, and thumbs up all of our various videos. As always, Word Ninjas Live is on Wednesdays. Game Break is pretty much every other day now. We have the full schedule in the About Us section over on YouTube, so you can find out what gets posted when. And they're all in convenient playlists and whatnot if you want to watch just a particular series. Go check it out. It's most entertaining. If you want to track us down via social media, talk to us via Twitter at FCWordNinja, and you get bonus points if you use the hashtag WordNinjas. You can also follow us on Tumblr, fcwordninja.tumblr.com, and go like our Facebook page, facebook.com/fullcoveragewriters. Converse with us, talk with us. We like talking to you people. And if you want to help... Yes, even Reality Man agrees, which means it must be true. And if you want to help fund all of our various endeavors, go peruse our Etsy store, which is etsy.com/shop/fullcoveragewriters, where we have all sorts of shiny baubles for you, from buttons to bookmarks to booklets to books, all sorts of things starting with a B, but also little Word Ninja plushie writer blocks, which will stare at you judgingly until you're productive. Or you can just toss it at people if they're not being productive. And as always, this show is brought to you by Full Coverage Writers, which is our overall organization that covers all the crazy things we do. Go check us out, fcwriters.com, and email us at wordninja@fcwriters.com for whatever various reasons. If you have a talkie point you want us to cover, if there's some news or highlight bit that you want us to check out, by all means, send us an email. Let us know. And with that, we're going to sign out. If you want to track me down personally, God help you, my personal Tumblr is fancypantswolf.tumblr.com. My trilogy in the progress is /andburntrilogy.tumblr.com. And you can occasionally track me down on the Fairy Tale Podcast Monday nights on their YouTube channel as Makarov. Next up, where can people find Justin? Justin is muted.
My apologies. You can find me at mechanicaljustin.com, and you can check me out on Twitch at mechanicaljustin as well. So look for me there, and hopefully I'll be live streaming some stuff this weekend. And if you miss my live stream, I will always be posting those videos up onto the Full Coverage Writers YouTube channel, or wherever we put these things.
Calvin will take care of it.
Yep,
You'll figure it out.
got it under control.
Speaking of Calvin, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at ccwii. You can find me on Tumblr at instacal.tumblr.com. And you can also find me on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/soundsbycalvin. So there you have it.
All right, with that, that is a show. Thank you all for joining us for episode 83 of Word Ninjas Live. Come back next Wednesday for episode 84. Till then, have a good night, everyone.
Take care.
Good night.